Chapter 3. The phone rang at 3 a.m., and Teresa reached for her glasses. The caller ID on her cell phone said, God. Teresa rubbed at her eyes and looked again as the theme to Flashdance played on. Swizzle, Teresa's orange tabby cat, finally climbed up on the bed and swatted at her. Seeing the cat's frustration matched by her own curiosity, she answered the phone. Hello? Teresa stammered. Hello, my child. Is this some kind of joke? Is my sister trying to pay me back for upsetting my grandparents? Now that would be a dirty trick, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. But you can't be the God. Did you know that prayer is a free cellular connection to heaven? Even just talking to me and reading the Word can help you get connected. God has a sense of humor. I've heard it all now. So you are saying I can't be funny. Aren't you supposed to be serious and all-powerful? I am not the great Oz. I am so much more. All-seeing and knowing. Maybe that's why my family frowns on you so much. Could be that, or they are afraid. Giving your life to someone is a big deal. I am aware that they are angry with me. We will have to work on that. We, as in you and I, are going to be working together? How did I get brought into this? They are angry with me, and you refuse to hear any more about you, so you are on your own. If you could just do some of your God stuff, or whatever, and show them you are a good guy, I'm sure they would come around. Do some of my God stuff? I have never heard that before. I can assure you that I am not a magician, and I will not be performing any tricks to sway someone my way. I'm sorry, if this is the God, then you should already know that this is all new to me. My only thought right now is that my grandparents and sister are upset with me. Oh, and I'm thinking that I need to sleep. Yeah, sleep would be nice. I will let you get back to sleep, but I just wanted to call and let you know that I am here and how you can reach me. Well, God, prankster, whoever you are, I need sleep, so I bid you good night, good morning, and farewell. Teresa ended the call and somehow peacefully drifted back to sleep. In the morning, she awoke feeling more refreshed than she ever felt. The clock said 9:30. Yawning, Teresa started her morning routine and gave little thought to the night before. It was just a dream, she concluded, and set about her day. It wasn't until about noon, when she could stop for a quick lunch break. She checked her messages and saw that the call she had with God was listed as recent. Holy crap, it can't be, Teresa exclaimed. The whole Country Diner staff and guests stared at her looking concerned. Teresa went flush and quickly replied, A friend of mine is pregnant with twins. The room full of people cautiously returned to their meals. How could this be? God doesn't have a physical body. For him to talk like he knew so much of my situation, could it have really been him? But how could he possibly use a cell phone? Pastor Randall will never believe this. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, Teresa was sitting in Randall Jones' office. She needed answers. More so, she needed confirmation that she wasn't crazy. You received a telephone call from God. How amazing that must have been. You have no idea how blessed you truly are. How could it be possible, though? He doesn't have a human body like you and me. This just can't be. Child, God has his ways. If he wants to get a message to someone, he will always find a unique way to do so. I figured it was all just a dream. I had been reading the Word, going over memories and thinking of my grandparents. I know the mind is capable of creating crazy thoughts and dreams, but my cell phone, that darn cell phone, is saying something else. You said God mentioned prayer in your family. Yes, he definitely has a sense of humor. And a cheap phone bill, too. Teresa sat in shock as the preacher chuckled at his own joke. Teresa, laughter is good medicine for the soul. Don't be afraid to laugh and enjoy the little things. God laughs right along with us and even at us sometimes. Making plans always gives him a certain charge, I'm sure. You said he finds a way to get his message across. What message might that be? Perhaps he is hoping you will pray. I'm sure he also would not be happy about you losing time with your grandparents. I don't know how to pray. I am also keeping my distance from my grandparents. Like I told God, he is on his own in this. I am not going to walk back into that lion's den again for a long time to come. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Time with your grandparents is precious and limited. I really hope that you will have a change of heart, and praying is easy and would probably be a good first step for you. I can teach you how to pray. I would appreciate that. By 5 o'clock, Teresa was on her way home. The thought crossed her mind that perhaps she should check in on her grandparents. She quickly switched gears, though, and turned up the radio. Def Leppard would help her forget, at least for the time being. A gentle rain splashed off Teresa's windshield, and she shuddered at the thought of her mother's accident. So much for the music pulling her through. She had another 10 miles to go, and her knuckles were turning white from the death grip she had on the steering wheel. She saw her mother in the casket, saw the hurt in her grandparents' eyes, and most importantly, heard the shot ring out as her father ended his life. In that last instant, she slammed on the brakes and whipped her old Tahoe onto the side of the road. Breathe. I only have to breathe. Her heart was pounding and her tears flowed endlessly. She rested her head on the steering wheel and prayed that the Lord would call her home. Instead of what she wished for, Teresa was met by the rain ceasing and the sun bursting through the clouds. A feeling of warmth came over Teresa, and she felt confident enough that she could drive herself the rest of the way home. Swizzle was waiting by the door when her owner walked in. She was more concerned with getting cat treats than asking how Teresa's day had been. Teresa patted her on the head, filled her bowl, and sat down to more Bible reading. On this night, Deuteronomy 31:8 stood out to her the most. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. It was a promise, a word that comforted her and reassured her that she wasn't alone.